was topical prior to the 2016 polls, as then opposition NPP listed such payments as examples of corruption. Joseph Apawu of our research desk has more on this thorny issue.
It's not just Wayome. You look at Waterville, it is the same pattern. You look at the others, you can see a similar pattern. It cannot be inefficiency. Kweku decides to call it reckless. It cannot be recklessness. It is deliberate. It is deliberate. It goes beyond people just being reckless.
The words of the NPP's Nana Komia on Newsfile on the Joy News channel. This was on August 2, 2014. At a time, the NDC, led by John Dramani Mahama, had come under intense pressure to retrieve some 51.2 million cedi judgment debts from businessman Alfred Wayome. A host of other judgment debt payments had equally become the subject of heated public discussions.
B is interest on the sum from 2008. No. Listen.
He's marrying two things which are not the same.
No,
I am talking about oranges.
You are not
I'm
getting.
talking about, because his question was that has the Supreme
He's
Court.
not getting the drift. Let me finish. Then you can challenge me.
You are not the one.
When I finish.
It therefore came as no surprise that the subject found expression in the MPP's 2016 manifesto. Page 134.f provided as follows.
Payments of dubious judgment debts and questionable settlements.
The party promised as follows.
The NPP will fight corruption head-on through preventive, detective, corrective and punitive actions. Our anti-corruption policy will be based on 3 key pillars: institutional reform, legislative reform, and attitudinal change or public education.
The NPP has since taken over government. Joy News has been tracking the thorny issue of judgment debts. A right to information request was first sent to the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The office responded that the appropriate place to obtain this information was the Finance Ministry. A subsequent request was therefore sent to the Finance Ministry, where the information was provided. Information from the Finance Ministry reveals that government has since 2017 paid judgment debts totaling 125 million cedis. The highest judgment debt was paid in 2018. An amount of 30.9 million cedis was paid to Jubilee Tractors and Assembly Plants Limited. This arose from a case filed against the National Security Council. In 2017, an amount of 29.5 million cedis was paid NDK Financial Services. The reasons for these payments was not stated, and Joy News has been unsuccessful in attempts to unravel it. A close comparison of the various years shows that the highest amount paid since the NPP government took over was in 2017, when payments totaled 54 million cedis. A 2021 research published by the Center for Social Justice shows that this 125 million cedi figure compares nowhere near the whopping 356.6 million cedis debt paid by the NDC administration in 2010. It, however, ranks higher when what was paid in the first 4 years of the John Mahama administration is compared to the first 4 years of the Akufo-Addo administration. A total judgment debt of 69.9 million cedis was paid by the NDC administration between 2013 and 2016. President Akufo-Addo's government between 2017 and 2020 paid 120 of the 125 million cedis judgment debts paid so far. 2.8 million cedis judgment debts have so far been paid by government this year.
That's Joseph Apawu of our research desk, bringing us Joy News analysis that's revealing that the Akufo-Addo-led government in its first term blowed a total of 120 million cedis on judgment debts, surpassing the John Mahama administration. We have more subsequently. You can read more also on myjoyonline.com. Now, this afternoon, representatives of civil society groups have hit the streets of Accra as they pile pressure on the Auditor General, Johnson Ekwia-Moisiedu, to exercise his powers of surcharge and disallowance. The CSOs accuse him of blatantly refusing to use his surcharge powers since 2019, even after appeals and petitions by sections of the society for him to do so. Kojo Pumpunia Sante, you hear from him. Also, we'll hear from Samson Ladi Anyenene as well as Edem Senano.
Refusal to exercise his surcharge powers, which we mean the Auditor General, to disallow and surcharge people who have been implicated in the 2019, 2020 and 2021 reports that he has been issuing. And you have realized that it's replete with all kinds of malpractice. If we are going to stop ourselves from going to the IMF every 4 years or every 8 years or whatever, we need to take accountability seriously. So we are gathered here. We are just waiting for a few more of our colleagues, other citizens of Ghana, to join us. The plan is that we are going to move from here, go through the Ridge area, through the National Theatre.
The Constitution in Article 2 says that to disobey the orders of the Supreme Court is a high crime. It's a high crime for which, if it is committed by a president or a vice president, it is grounds for removal from office. If it is committed by any other person and they are found guilty, they can go to jail for not exceeding 10 years, after which they are not eligible to contest for any public office or to be appointed to any public office for 10 years. We want the Auditor General to know that there are consequences for what he's refusing to do. And no one should continue to ask us that we should go to court. We are citizens. It is our monies that are used.
In the 2021 Auditor General's report, we have been told that 17 billion cedis, almost 18. If you add 2020 and 2019, you get about 48 billion cedis. The amount of money we are going to the IMF for is how much? If you convert it, you are talking less than one of these years. In other words, if we had retrieved any of the amount from 2019, 2020, 2021, we do not need to go to the IMF. Does that make sense? The maths is simple. 48 billion irregularities, monies lost in 3 years. The amount you are going for from the
of course, Kojo Pumpuni Asante, they are members of the CSOs that are currently picketing the Auditor General for him to exercise his powers of surcharge and disallowance. Michael Ashale is with them. He joins us live. Michael, we know earlier that they were prevented from picketing the Auditor General's office. Following the protesters earlier, we heard from Samson Ladia Nyenene, the leaders of this particular protest today. Edem Senanu has also been speaking to us, and we heard from Kojo Pumpuni Asante. Well, we've been speaking to the Public Accounts Committee Chairman, James Klucha-Aveji, declaring his support for the team.
Some letter from some of the CSOs written to the Auditor General demanding what action he has taken on the ruling of the Supreme Court and the surcharge. And in those letters, no replies have been given by the Auditor General, and they've also written to the Attorney General, also demanding actions that the Attorney General also take on this issue. So if they want to go and pick it at the office of the Auditor General, I don't have any issue with that. I think I support them.
That's James Klucha-Aveji. There is the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee speaking on the probe last night. Now, let me take you to the Oti region, and police in Kumasi has launched investigations into circumstances that led to the death of Municipal Chief Executive for Karachi East, Francis Kofi Okeso. Well, police found him lying dead in a supine position on the bed, naked, with his left arm hanging beside the bed on Sunday in his hotel room in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. Love FM's Nana Yaojima has more.
Love News investigation.
Honestly, all of us are still in a state of shock. We heard of the news yesterday around 8 o'clock p.m. that the Honorable Municipal Chief Executive for the Karachi East constituency has passed on in his hotel room at Kumasi. We didn't believe it when we heard it. For me, when I heard it, I didn't believe it. But later, the news broke that truly Mr. Okesu, Honorable Okesu, has passed on. And as of this morning, we are all still in a state of shock. So we are putting things together so that we rush to his home and say our deepest condolences to his family. He was an honorable young guy who has a very promising future. His relationship with the people in the constituency was awesome. So we are really, really, really sad, especially those of us in the
municipality in the Karachi East constituency in the OT region. We can hear from some residents.
All of us are still in a state of shock. We are very, very sad, my brother.
My name is Osborne Asawi, a native of Dambai. I'm still in a shock. I still can't believe after I heard that the DC or the MC of Karachi East constituency has died this morning. In fact, I'm wet this morning. I'm so sad about such news. May his soul rest in peace.
Honestly, all of us are still in a state of shock. We heard of the news yesterday around 8 o'clock p.m. that the Honorable
residents of the Karachi East municipality there. Well, the MCE was also the dean of MDCEs in the OT region, and some of his colleagues have been sharing their memories of him. First is the DCE for Nkwanta South, Bright Lenwa, and Emefa Apawu Adibo of the Guan district.
He has been a very good friend.
Municipal Chief Executive for the Karachi East constituency has passed on in his hotel room at Kumasi. We didn't believe it when we heard it. For me, when I heard it, I didn't believe it. But later, the news broke that truly Mr. Okesu, Honorable Okesu, has passed on.
For the DC for Nkwanta South, Bright Lenwa. Now, this afternoon, policy think tank Imani Africa is lashing out at government's plans to roll out a number of punitive measures against persons who are yet to re-register their SIM cards ahead of the deadline, which is the end of this month. According to the National Communications Authority, outgoing calls and data services for such persons will be blocked for 2 days every week. However, Vice President in charge of strategy at Imani Africa, Selon Brantier, says, given that a number of Ghanaians are still yet to have their Ghana card, a decision to block their calls is draconian.
First of all, for some of us, this whole process is being rushed unnecessarily. The issue here is that we are behaving as if the Ghana card is something that is issued instantly. You are talking about a very seismic change in the way we are going to be registering our SIM cards. For any process that is planned in this way, one of the first things that you have, first of all, for some of us, this whole process is being rushed unnecessarily. The issue here is that we are behaving as if the Ghana card is something that is issued instantly. You are talking about a very seismic change in the way we are going to be registering our SIM cards. For any process that is planned in this way, one of the first things that you have, first of all, for some of us, this whole process is being rushed unnecessarily. The issue here is that we are behaving as if the Ghana card is something that is issued instantly. You are talking about a very seismic change in the way we are going to be registering our SIM cards. For any process that is planned in this way, one of the first things that you have, first of all, for some of us, this whole process is being rushed unnecessarily. the issue here is that we are behaving as if the Ghana card is something that is issued instantly. You are talking
Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Dr. Kenneth Ashibe, has urged government to fix the challenges with assessing the Ghana card. He said it is not in the interest of the telcos to disconnect such SIM cards.
It's not in the interest of us to. It's not in the interest of us to make sure that even one person, loses his one genuine person loses his card. Okay. You should bear in mind, as many people who would lose, their numbers. That would mean CST revenue that will be lost. As many people who would, people have their mobile money on it. That's e-levy that also potentially could be lost. So there are implications for even, our fiscal policy and all of that. So it's not in the interest of us to make sure that even one person, loses his one genuine person loses his card. Okay. You should bear in mind, as many people who would lose, their numbers.
That Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. Let's bring in the Deputy Ranking Member on the Communications Committee of Parliament, Mr. Sam George. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. So we've been at this for some time now. Now there's the latest communication from the NCA. SIM cards of those who have not registered will be blocked for 2 days every week. Is there a particular intervention that we are hoping to get from your committee? Hello, Mr. Sam George. It doesn't look like we have Sam George there on the phone, but we'll rework the lines and bring in Sam George. But we've been hearing from the Executive Director for the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima. He says the NCA and the Ministry of Communication has no right to deny anyone access to his or her SIM for a reason that they cannot be entirely blamed for. He spoke on the AM show.
There are a considerable period of time that was provided for the registration in terms of the extensions that have been given over the period. However, what happens if someone has still not been able to secure his or her Ghana card, which is a prerequisite for the SIM card registration? The last time I heard, it was almost as though there are a considerable period of time that was provided for the registration in terms of the extensions that have been given over the period. However, what happens if someone has still not been able to secure his or her Ghana card, which is a prerequisite for the SIM card registration? The last time I heard, it was almost as though there are a considerable period of time that was provided for the registration in terms of the extensions that have been given over the period. However, what happens if someone has still not been able to secure his or her Ghana card, which is a prerequisite for the SIM card?
Deputy Ranking Member on the Communications Committee joins us back on the line. Thank you so much once again for joining us. So I was asking earlier about the NCA's latest directive, outgoing calls and data services for persons who have not registered will be blocked for 2 days every week. I was asking if there's a particular intervention from your team, considering that Ghana card remains a challenge to access. It doesn't look like we have Mr. Sam George there on the phone. Apologies for that. We'll take a quick break here on the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM, also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on Spotify, Facebook, and myjoyonline.com. Our top stories: Joy News Analysis reviews the Akufo-Addo-led government in its first term splashed a total of 120 million cedis on judgment debts, surpassing the John Mahama administration. When we return, we have sport and tell you the story about 21 years of pain. That's the start story of a 25-year-old level 300 university student who is now paralyzed. We hear how he has struggled to cope with a hidden condition since the age of 4.
I was given injection on my right leg. So after 2 weeks, I started feeling some pain at my hip. So I complained to my mom. Then we did not go back to the hospital again. We just applied some balm on it. So later the pain stopped. From there, about 1 month, I started limping on the right leg.
And later in the bulletin, Kenya's Supreme Court rules that William Ruto was validly elected as president.
As a consequence, we declare the election of the first respondent as president-elect to be varied under Article 143 of the Constitution.
Then to the United Kingdom, where Liz Truss will take office as next Prime Minister after emerging victorious in the Conservative Party elections.
And as your party leader, I intend to deliver what we promised those voters right across our great country.
I bet you thought you've seen it all. You must have thought you've watched it all. Gomorrah is a new exciting series about the conflict that rises between the wealthy and the poor. Watch Gomorrah exclusively on Aquaba Magic, DSTV channel 150, Go TV channel 101, and Aquaba Magic Ebusian DSTV channel 149 and Go TV channel 108. With as little as 50 Ghana cedis on DSTV access and 25 Ghana cedis on Go TV value. Gomorrah. Emre Dane.
Many thanks for staying with us. We have sports. Musbal, what do we have?
Well, the Ghana Football Association has confirmed all referee allowance arrears have been cleared ahead of the new season, which kicks off on Friday. The Ghana Football Association has also promised a consistent flow of allowances next season onwards after long facing problems of late payment of referee allowances, which many have listed as part of the reasons for the continuous match fixing scandals which has plagued the local game. Area Santichum, the JFA's Director of Communications, spoke on last Saturday's Joy Sports Link.
We also need to make sure we pay them on time, and that has been catered for. Now, as we speak, no Ghanaian referee is owed by the FA from last season. We've cleared every debt. We've paid from Premier, we've paid from Division 1, we've paid from Women's League, we've paid everything from FA Cup. So we are starting on a clean slate. As much as possible, we want to pay these referees after every 4 weeks. So if in the first 4 weeks of games you happen to officiate, you wouldn't go into 5th week, 6th week, 7th, 8th, carrying any sort of debt.
So that's Henry Asantichum, the MFA. It's interesting to know that the Association of African Sports Confederation has threatened to boycott the 2023 Africa Games in Ghana if disagreement over marketing rights for the competition are not resolved by end of September 22. Now, the association is the body responsible for providing technical officials for the games, and boycott will make it impossible to stage the games next year, putting Ghana's organization of the competition in further jeopardy. So that's it, and there's more of this story on My Joy Online /sports.
Thank you very much, Musbao. Now, imagine having to live your entire life differently as a result of an ailment that could have been easily treated but wasn't because of ignorance and financial problems. Well, you probably might have heard of similar tragic stories, but this is an incredibly heartbreaking story of a 25-year-old university student who has been suffering from rheumatism, a joint disease. Over time, his condition has worsened to the point that he's completely disabled. Jesse Buafo has a story of Bismarck Ofori Opoku.
Bismarck Ofori Opoku, a level 300 student.
About 1 month, I started limping on the right leg.
The excruciating pain in Bismarck's right hip has completely immobilized him. The agony and the depression make Bismarck dread going through the night.
I barely get enough sleep because of my brother's condition. He's unable to do anything but.
While he was in class 4, he visited the said hospital again on an account of a rheumatic episode, and he was injected on the right buttock. After a fortnight, he started feeling pain in his right hip, and this time, his mother rather resorted to rubbing a balm on the affected area, which subsidized the pain, but left him limping on his right leg after a month.
So I went to the hospital, and I was given injection on my right leg. So after 2 weeks, I started feeling some pain at my hip. So I complained to my mom. Then we did not go back to the hospital again. We just applied some balm on it. So later the pain stopped. From there, about 1 month, I started limping on the right leg.
The excruciating pain in Bismarck's right hip has completely immobilized him. The agony and the depression make Bismarck dread going through the night.
Enough sleep because
times
Indeed, no human deserves to go through such ordeal, he says.
People always look at you differently because you are different from them. Sometimes they will be giving you names, even at college.
His family took him to the St. Joseph Hospital in Koforidua, where the news about a total hip replacement costing 34,000 cedis was broken to them.
Surgery, 340 million. Hey, says a pension pay cramp into me surgery.
Truth Bismarck is in need of your help, your support. For Joy News, Jesse Sewabuafo's report read to you.
Let me take you to Kenya now, and the Supreme Court there has ruled that William Ruto was properly elected president, dismissing several petitions seeking to annul the result of the 9th August election. His rival, Raila Odinga, and others had alleged that massive fraud, including tampering of result forms, had taken place. Here's the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, in a unanimous decision on behalf of the 7 judges.
The final orders made by the courts. This is a unanimous decision of the court, and we make the following orders. 1. The presidential election petition number E005 of 2022 as consolidated with the presidential election petition numbers E001, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8 of 2022 are hereby dismissed. As a consequence, we declare the election of the first respondent as president-elect to be varied under Article 143 of the Constitution.
Now to the UK, where Liz Truss has been named as the new Prime Minister for the United Kingdom. She emerged victorious in the Conservative polls, beating Rishi Sunak to become leader. The position became vacant after Boris Johnson resigned in July this year. He was actually forced to. Listen to the declaration and the brief message from the new leader of the Conservative Party.
The total number of votes rejected was 654. The total number of valid votes given to each candidate was as follows. Rishi Sunak, 60,399. Liz Truss, 81,326. Therefore, I give notice that Liz Truss is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party. We'll come up on stage.
That our beliefs resonate with the British people. Our beliefs in freedom, in the ability to control your own life, in low taxes, in personal responsibility. And I know that's why people voted for us in such numbers in 2019. And as your party leader, I intend to deliver what we promised those voters right across our great country.
The next UK Prime Minister, Liz Truss, there, ending the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Top stories there. Karachi East MC founded in a hotel room in Kumasi. Dockets for Namuan's prosecution almost ready. That's according to the Attorney General, Park Chair Aveji, worried about auction process of 19 vehicles to judges in AG report, and we don't want money for National Cathedral to come from taxpayers. That's according to the Board of Trustees. That and more on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Many thanks for your company. Living Word with Pastor Mensel Tabo is up next. Please stay for it.